Hi folks, we're back in the shop with the Cub Cadet LTX 1050. More mechanical work to work on, and goody, more electrical work to work on. I was mowing a few days ago in the middle of, well, I was near the end of mowing, and suddenly the mower blade stopped. The PTO shut off. So I'm thinking, what the heck? You know, I thought I had these problems fixed. I thought, well, maybe it's a fuse. The tractor's still running. I'll, drive it back to the barn and then turn it off and see if I can turn it back on again. And if that's the case, it was just the fuse blew everything out. Well, that wasn't the case. The tractor did start up. So now my next question was, okay, where's my problem? Remember, in one of the previous videos, I said I had bypassed a lot of the safety crap on this model because of having problems with it not working right. I ran a wire directly from the battery to another switch I added, and then from there we went to directly to the PTO clutch. So what could go wrong? Well, first I thought, well, maybe it was a switch, so I fooled around with the switch, determined it wasn't the switch. Thought maybe one of the connectors and the wires came loose. I changed one out just in case. No, that wasn't the problem. Still nothing. So I finally crawled down underneath here where I had, spliced into the lead going into the PTO clutch. There's just two wires, the ground and the hot, and I spliced into the white, and the ground I ran here to this bolt to ground it off. And lo and behold, when I tugged on the hot line, guess what? Yep. At some point the PTO clutch must have shifted or moved underneath, and it snapped the wire off. Now the fun, wonderful thing about this is, as I looked underneath there, I had to blow out all the junk. I used my air compressor to do that, of course. Found out that what's left sticking out of the PTO clutch is about maybe a 1/4 inch piece of wire. Why couldn't it break off maybe 3 or 4 inches? It would have made this job a whole lot easier, but of course it didn't. So I've looked at a few YouTube videos to show a unorthodox or temporary fix for it, because a new PTO clutch is like $150, and I don't want to spend that kind of money. But what it requires is I have to take the PTO clutch off the tractor and work on it on the bench to do the repair. I can't work up. I was trying to see what I could do, just kind of reaching up in there, but there's nothing I can do. There's not enough of a stub of the wire left. If there was enough sticking out, I could have just put a new connector on and spliced it from there, but it's not going to work. So what I have to do, I'm in the process now of taking the PTO clutch off. First thing I had to do was to partially disconnect the mower deck. This particular model, on the front you have, as you can see there, the longer shaft that hooks to the very front of the deck through the plate, through a plate on the front axle of the tractor, and then it's got that little bracket that's to help hold the belt in place. It goes up underneath the pulley here and the PTO clutch, which is above it right in here. I don't know how well you can see that from this angle. So I took that bracket off. Now what I have to do to get the PTO clutch off, there's one bolt that's holding it on. You might think, well, that's not too bad. Well, the issue is, if you just put a socket on it or a wrench on it and try to turn it, all you do is turn the drive shaft. So the only way to get that off practically is with an impact wrench. This is 5/8. I've already tried the socket on it, and it will work. Just have to get up in there and take it off that way, and then it should be free. I can wiggle it off and get it onto the bench. Now the one lead, the ground lead, is still attached. That didn't rip off, so I may have to cut and splice that, but that's not my main problem. My main problem is getting power to the clutch. The good thing is, at least it wasn't the clutch that was damaged, that it just quit, because then I'd be replacing the whole clutch. This is a much cheaper fix. How well it will hold, I don't know. We're going to give it a try and see. Apparently that PTO clutch can wiggle underneath there. and when it does that, it tugs on the wires. And I'm guessing that's what happened, either that or just from the usage. I mean, this tractor has over 300 hours on it. Maybe it just wore. I don't know. I'm hoping that my repair will hold after I do it. We'll see. Never did this before. This is brand new for me. I'm kind of fumbling my way through in the dark here like usual. But I'm about sick and tired of dealing with Cub Cadet PTO clutch problems, if you know what I mean. If you've seen some of my previous videos on my older ones, my 1810, the PTO clutch went, and I had trouble with this one, thinking that it was a bad PTO clutch when it was really just the safety switches connected with it. I just want the darn PTO to turn so that the belt turns, so the blades turn, so I can mow my grass. Is that too much to ask? So, you know, I've been a fan of Cub Cadet for a long time, but these increasing problems are making me think that what they're making in the more modern Cub Cadets, just the quality isn't there like it used to be. So, sadly, that's the way things are all over the place today, because these big companies have realized, hey, if we make it too good, nobody will ever have to buy a second one, and then we don't make any money. So we'll make them cheaper so they break down and people get rid of them. It's called planned obsolescence. And we've been dealing with it in lots of things in our products in our society, so I won't preach about that. But so I've got to get that off. After I get that off of the tractor, let me see if I can show you just right under here. Here's the pulley spindle, and then the PTO clutch is right here. So when I get that off, I will take it up on the bench and I'll show you what's to come next. So hang in there. Okay, PTO clutch is now off and sitting on my workbench. Now, this is the top, the part that goes up under the engine, and then, of course, underneath, you've got the spindle where the spindle pulley where the belt goes on. Now, here was my problem. If you look here, I did cut this wire off. I had to get it off, but I'm going to think of another solution with this. But if you look right here, I don't know how close the camera can zoom. That's all that's left of the hot wire going in. This little hard rubber, whatever it is, connector here takes the lines into the coil, I guess, in the clutch. I'm not sure exactly the internal workings of it. But what happens is when you want to start the mower blades, you turn the switch on that sends power here, and this engages the shaft so that the blades will turn. That's how your mower blades work with your power takeoff. The clutch basically is designed so that when you don't want to mow, the shaft isn't trying to turn the blades. Kind of like putting your car in either neutral or drive. The transmission, the automatic transmission, basically keeps the engine from delivering power to the drive shaft. In a standard car, a clutch is what you use to engage the various gears. If you push the clutch in, that pulls the gearing away in the transmission away from the drive shaft. When you release the clutch, it re-engages it in whatever gear you're in, and the car works that way. I'm certainly not a mechanical expert, but that's my understanding of it. This particular PTO clutch may be the original. I don't know. I'm looking here on this little plate that was covered with dirt, this little plastic plate. It says March 25th, 09. So I'm guessing that's the date, and I'm guessing that's how long this clutch has been in this tractor, unless somebody had replaced it out. I don't know, but it doesn't matter. So what I have to do, there were two different things that I saw online, and if you're having a problem now and you're looking too, you might have seen the other videos already, but I'll just tell you. The one guy pulled his PTO clutch and he had about an inch stub sticking out. So what he did is he stripped them off a little bit and put these blue spacers, these blue connectors on, and then a new length of wire, and went from there. My problem is this wire is way too short to try to put any kind of connector on and have it hold, because there is a lot of vibration here, you know, a lot of RPMs going on there with the PTO and so on, so it has to be something that's secure and will not come loose. Plan B was a bit more of a homemade remedy that I saw, and this is what I'm going to have to use because of this little stub. What the guy said to do was you find exactly above where the wire goes in, and you drill a small hole in there, and then you take a pointed screw, probably not necessarily this one, but something along that line, and then you run it down in, and in the screw you have, this isn't the right size, but it'll make the point, you have this on there like that, and then screw it tight. So the electricity can follow the wire that you're going to attach to the other end of this down the screw and make contact inside this block where the wire would have been coming in before. The idea is you just have to be sure when you drill that you hit the hot wire, or what will be the hot wire, so that you have a good electrical connection. Now, because this other wire here, the ground wire, is also starting to fray here, I'm afraid that if I don't replace this too, that I might have the same problem. And I'd rather just replace both of them this way, and hopefully they'll hold. Now, what the guy suggested to do was, after you have the connections made, is take a big blob of silicone and cover over these metal pieces, so there's no arcing, there's no short circuiting, there's no problems with loose electricity running around that could either cause this not to work or else damage your vehicle, I mean your battery, excuse me. I don't have silicone, but I do have that rubber liquid electrical tape. I think that might work just as well, so I'm going to try that. I'll have to make sure it's dry before I put it back in, but you just want to make sure that you cover over anything that conducts electricity. Now, I've got to make sure I clean this well too, so whatever I put on here adheres and doesn't come off. So that's going to be the plan. I will come back to you with the next phase in this. Again, I'm shooting in the dark here. One of the things the guy did after he made these connections is he used his two little stubs here and tested it with a battery to make sure that it was actually getting juice. The way that will work is, even if this is disconnected from the tractor, if there's electricity going through it, you'll hear it click as it goes to engage. And that was how I could tell that it wasn't the PTO clutch that was bad when I had my problem before, because when I bypassed everything and just ran a wire from the battery to the PTO clutch, touched the hot lead, and the ground was still attached, of course, it clicked. So I knew that it was working. It was just an upline electrical problem. So that's going to be my plan. Drill the holes, put the screws with the little wire connectors on the end there. Tighten it down as best I can. Hopefully this hard plastic will grip the threads on the screws enough that it won't work its way out, you know, because of the vibration. And also the adhesive on the top will help hold it into place. Again, I don't know if this is going to work, but you're along for the ride, so we'll see what happens. Oh, also this was the sheath that came from the factory that was on the tractor, where the wires went through coming up to here to kind of keep them shielded, protected from you know, any kind of damage. So I'll probably, when I put my pieces on here, I'll slide it up there and see what happens. So that's the plan, and we'll come back to you when things are gone. Well, here we are. It's not pretty, but I did manage to do it. 2 holes drilled right above where the wires were coming out here, and I put screws about this long in. Didn't want too long ones. And the wire connector, the wire connectors there. and the line's coming out hot and ground. And these wire connectors are pretty close here, so I put a little piece of electrical tape right in between there to try to make sure that they were insulated apart. I'll blob this over with, like I said, I don't have silicone, but I do have this liquid tape. I use this to seal my connections on my horn on my Mercedes, if in one of the previous videos, if you want to look and see, because it's supposed to work just like electrical tape, but it also is it seals and protects electrical components, and I think it does say it's supposed to be waterproof. So I'm not going to bother to read it now. So hopefully that'll do the trick. Now before I seal that though, I'm going to test it. I have my two pigtails here, as you can see. Oop. I didn't put connectors on them yet, but I will. So I'm going to strip some wire off and go over to the battery of the Cub there. Take this and touch both leads and see if I get a click. If I do, I've got good power coming. I'm sorry, I'm trying to look at what I'm doing instead of the camera. If I do get a click when I do that, I know I got good power coming in and the circuit is closed. So that's all I need. Once I got that, these are not going anywhere. This hard plastic here was a real bear to get screws in. I didn't, because these are smaller screws, I didn't use my cordless screwdriver because I was afraid I'd just strip them right out. So I used just regular Phillips screwdrivers and turned them in slowly, but got them all the way in, and they're not going anywhere. So let's give this a test and see what happens. I'll come back. Okay, we are over at the battery of the Cub to test this. Sorry, I'm kind of in the dark here. I have the shop door closed because we've been attacked by the horde of mosquitoes from heck over the last week or so here. It's terrible. Even wearing long sleeves and high collars and the whole thing, you're still attacked like crazy. So I'm keeping the door shut so I can work here. All right, I've got the ground wire tucked in there to the ground on the battery, and we want to touch the hot, and let's see if we hear the click. Hey, look at that, and look, we even have a spark. See? All right, so we know we have a good electrical connection there. Even with this kind of jury-rigged way of doing things, we managed to, and there's no short because it did work. It wouldn't have clicked, it wouldn't have engaged, it would have shorted from here over to here and not gone into the thing. So I'm good with that. Now I just need to clean this off a bit and gunk that up pretty good, let it dry, and then I can put my PTO clutch back together, splice it back in. I should be good to go after that. We'll see. You know how working on old stuff is, it never goes as planned. But if this is the case, then this is a solution that will work if you have the same problem. Save 150 or more bucks having to buy a new PTO clutch. All right, thank you for watching. I'll come back. Okay, it's the next day. As you can see, I got my contacts gunked up here. Nothing should be able to escape there, get in there as far as water goes, and no electricity escape. And then the other thing that I've also done is I put my ends on the pigtails here so that I can splice it in. Mark the hot one with some black magic marker, and I'm good to go. I just need to put it back on. I'll come back to you when it's on. All right, we've got everything put back together now. The clutch is, the PTO clutch is back in place. It's wired. As you can see, I made the connections here from the ground and then the hot coming up through. Gave a little bit more slack there just in case. And the connections are good. Now, one thing that I want to mention that is critical. In this model, the LTX 1050, there is this bracket. Let me see if I can get down here better for you to see it. Okay, this bracket here that comes up through, goes over to the other side, screws in there, and then it comes up through here and bolts here on the outside. Now, one of the functions is to hold the PTO belt in place. You can see that it surrounds the pulley. But another function is this right here. I don't know if you can see this. On the right here, on the side of the PTO clutch, there are ears that stick out. It's open on the side here, and then it's U-shaped, basically a U-shaped hole. This bracket needs to be installed so that slot holds the bracket in place. Or actually, what is happening here is the bracket is holding the PTO clutch in place, so it can't turn when the PTO is running. It holds it in, it anchors it. There are some other models that have a little bolt that sticks down from the underside of the engine casing where it fits in there, or a little rod. But the way they do it with this one is it just fits in that. Let's see if I can get better light. I know I'm kind of trying to show you this in through the dark here. Let's see, there we go. You can see how the bracket comes right up through, right in the ears, so that it can't spin with the PTO when it's engaged. That's to anchor it in place. So it's critical when you put the PTO clutch back on that you have the ears over here so that it will fit in for you the way it needs to be. You can turn it a little bit after you put the bolt on and stuff to get it where you need it to be, but don't put this bracket on without having the clutch supported by it there. So I just wanted to show you that. That was something that I hadn't thought about before when I was doing it, but as I was putting it together I thought, oh yeah, that's part of the reason it's the way it is. So I'm gonna pause the video right now. We'll take the tractor outside and we'll see our end results. Alright, we're outside and ready to go. Let's turn on our power takeoff. There we go. We are working again, as you can see. So, as far as I know, the repair is now complete. Thank you to the various YouTube guys who put out videos to show the tips how to do this kind of repair. Again, I have no idea how long it will last. I hope it lasts for years because I don't want to have to buy another PTO clutch. And I hope that if you've run into the same problem that you can use a similar shortcut. But this is what you have to do when you're living out in the country on a shoestring. You can't always run to the parts store every time you need something. So thank you for watching, and I pray that you've got a great situation where you are with your life out in the country as well, and I hope these videos are helpful to you. I know I've learned a lot by watching other people, and I'm just trying to pass on what I've learned. So again, please subscribe and like and hit the notifications bell, and we'll continue this lifestyle of freedom in this nation where we can have our own fresh air, our own green grass, our own gardens, our own homes, our own forests, and so on. Country living at its best, and on a shoestring as well. So thank you for watching.